Hello there, and happy Life Day. This is The High Ground, a doof bonus content show where this month we're reliving George Lucas's definitely despised Star Wars Holiday Special, and also the Lego one that was maybe better. We'll get to that. I'm your favorite masturbating grandpa Wookie, Elliot Diebold.
And I'm your absentee and criminal father Wookie, Reuben Morehouse.
And I'm the lovable scamp with hate in their heart Wookie, Georgia Devold.
That's what Wookiees sound like, is it?
I can't do Lumpy. I even went back and listened to Lumpy to try to
wow.
I couldn't do it. It just made my throat really sore.
I think that sounds like you're doing it right.
Yeah, I think that's correct, Georgia.
Yeah.
So we're back, obviously, this month to discuss the holiday specials. Oh boy.
In honor of Life Day coming up quick.
Yeah. What should we just get into talking about each one individually, and then we can commiserate this idea?
Yeah. Just the question is, why were these made?
Either of them. Well, no, I think the reason why the Lego one was made is very obvious. Cha-ching.
Yes, we will get to that.
Well, yeah, let's get to that. Let's start by talking about the OG Star Wars Holiday Special. So the film kind of begins on Kashyyyk, or it's known by a different name.
Yeah,
they
call it
Kajuk
or something.
Yeah,
or Kazuk, yeah. Anyway, there we join Chewie's family as they await his return to celebrate Life Day, which is very important to Wookiees.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the first half hour of this film is just us following Chewbacca's family in their house that is like a set straight out of Barney the Dinosaur.
Yeah, totally. I hadn't thought of that, but it's for sure the same place.
It is, except outside is like a cartoon world, which is fun. Kashyyyk inside looks live action, but outside on Kashyyyk is cartoon, which is a strange decision for a planet, but I'm all for it.
Well, what's funny about that is I've seen things on Reddit the past few months where somebody posted, it's like there were actually whole shots in the fifth and sixth movie that were just drawings. Like they just did hyper detailed drawings of crowds of stormtroopers and then just filmed the painting and made you think it was filmed.
Is that right?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I've never heard that.
It was on Reddit, so
so it must be true.
It must be true.
Anyway, assuming it is true, that really I'm even more impressed by that fact after watching the holiday special because these shots of the outside of Kashyyyk were just awful.
Yeah, it didn't look hyper real. It just looked cartoon.
You trying to tell me that the production value of this holiday special is not up to the standard of the main films? Because if so, I have to disagree.
Yeah, I'm actually not saying that. Yeah. I just want to point out, though, as trash as most of this special is, Life Day is actually a pretty good name for a, generic holiday name.
Is that not essentially what Easter is?
Yeah, but...
Well, yes, but I think it would feel more real to me if it had just a stupid name, like Kajunk Day or something random. Because Life Day is clearly people came up with it around a boardroom table. Whereas if it was Jolly Roger's Day or something, you'd be like, oh, there might be a story to who Jolly Roger is. That's interesting,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking because, obviously the McElroys have candle nights and stuff. And
Candle Nights is a more original kind of,
it's got a backstory,
less boardroomy name, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. I thought Life Days is a nice simple name for a Christmas ripoff.
Yeah, you could do worse.
And it clearly has to do with what you do on Life Day, which is wear robes and hold glowing lights dancing around a big tree.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get there.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Another thing as well. So this special sort of opens up with a big thing sponsored by General Motors. And then as well, the copy we watched, because this only ever aired once on TV, it's got all the ads from late 1970s. I think it was a Boston copy that we were watching.
Mm.
And And that was just kind of like a fascinating little extra bit of the time capsule, watching some
Yeah, I
of those
actually really
ads.
liked watching those ads. I was like, this is
They
so
were better than the
interesting.
special.
It's like when I used to watch things like streamed from the US with you, Elliot, and watching like ads from the US, which were like really different from ads in Australia. They treated the audience very differently. Like there's an assumption that everybody's really stupid in America, I think. Like, and they weren't as funny as Australian ones. It was really interesting.
To be fair, those things that we were streaming together that had those ads, that was the CW network.
Yes,
so,
this is true. So all the people watching are dumb, including me.
Yeah. Just to be fair.
That is true.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting parts of this holiday special are in-universe, like advertisements, right?
Yeah.
And even so, the actual ads were more fantastical and interesting than those like made-up ads that were designed to just be entertaining.
This is true.
Yeah. So we follow like a bunch of skits from Chewie's family. His son Lumpy watches some holographic Cirque du Soleil. There's a super offensive cooking skit with his wife Marla.
That's rough. That one actually, God, I mean, most of it's just boring, but that one is actually painful to watch.
It's bad. It's very bad.
Yeah, it's pretty rotten from the ground up. Then there's like this really weird and bad like sales skit where a guy's running a shop for an imperial officer.
That's not even a skit. It doesn't even seem to have any jokes.
It's almost like just weird filler, but like the thing is so long, it doesn't need filler.
I feel like they just stuck the guy, and I've forgotten all the special guests' names because they mean nothing to me because they're all from the 70s.
Yeah.
But they just like stuck in there and gave him a bunch of weird props, and they're like, "Hey, can you do improv for like 10 minutes? We need to fill up 10 minutes of this."
Yeah,
special.
that is what it felt like for sure.
What they probably said was, if you just improv for like 10 minutes, we'll cut it down and only keep the best bits. And then someone just forgot to do that, I think.
Because it's like it has to be unscripted because the first thing he says as he walks in, he sees the Imperial Guard and he says to the Imperial Guard, "Oh, it's an Imperial Guard." And I was like,
you don't think that was scripted?
No, it can't have been, surely.
He was actually just standing there and didn't know they were about to walk in. And he's like, "Oh, it's an Imperial Guard. The skit must be starting."
But I mean, look, I get that line is stupid, but there's more things in this film that are stupider that are definitely stupid. So I don't think that's a good litmus test.
Yeah, fair enough. So after the sales skit that just goes on for a really long time and doesn't seem to actually have jokes, we get to the coup de grace of the entire special, Itchy watching VR porn.
I did not realize his name was Itchy, and oh god.
Actually, here's a fun pop quiz for you both. Itchy and Lumpy are actually just their nicknames, like how Chewie is Chewbacca.
Yes.
Do you have any guesses as to what Itchy stands for? Let's start there.
It was like Itcha Kutek or something. I remember it, but I don't actually remember exactly what it was.
Oh, is it going to be... Oh, no. I've got no idea.
Reuben's pretty close. It's a Titchy Chuck.
Oh, you've hidden it there.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. A Titchy Chuck, that's right.
What about Lumpy?
Now, I hate to say
it is written there.
It is written there. I see it says Lumpawaroo on the screen.
Which is excellent.
Right now.
It's much better than Lumpy, really.
Yeah.
Lumpawaroo.
And his wife Marla also has a full name, but it's just kind of as stupid as Marla, so I didn't bother including
Didn't bother with that one.
Marla blah 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 or something.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah,
this pop quiz.
This VR porn scene is.
I was very uncomfortable. That's where I went and grabbed a whiskey. I was like, "Oh no, I can't deal with this."
And we watched this at like 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it was not whiskey time, and I was like, I'm gonna get some whiskey.
Again, just like, what was the thought here? I mean, like,
yeah.
I'm trying to be charitable and think it's not meant to be porn, but it just there's no interpretation where it isn't. Because he puts on this like VR headset that looks like a kind of old school like hairdresser's machine. What are they called? You know,
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
these
like
big
the
machine
hair
things.
heat things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And he goes into VR, and the salesman who brings the VR cassette to him is like, "Oh, I got this just for you, Itchy." He goes in, and it's like a hologram, a VR image of a woman, and she's like talking about like desire, and she's very clearly being sultry, and then she sings a song. So maybe it's meant
Which
to be
goes
a
for about
VR music
20 minutes.
video. Yeah, but it clearly is at least very sensual, if
Because
not
isn't she saying
intentionally
something
erotic.
like, she's like,
I am
I'm
your
like,
desire.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah.
like real. Oh, yeah.
I am your
really-
desire manifest. Like, yeah, like it's no, it has to be.
Because the
It
weird thing is
has
that
to be porn.
I guess, like, because the whole time I'm sort of thinking, who is this for, this holiday special? I don't know whether this was a thing that happened in the 70s that I'm not aware of. I'm not sure. But because I kind
But
of
in
thought,
every
and at the
show, someone had
start,
to
it's
watch
just sort of,
porn.
yeah. Well, because at the start, it's sort of following Lumpy, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's like for kids. And, everybody's trying to make Lumpy do chores, and he doesn't want to do chores. And then next minute, we're like watching porn, and it's like, is it for the whole family? But then that's not for the whole family. It was
it's
really
for the whole
weird.
family. You've got Lumpy for the kids. You've got Itchy for the horny grandpas. Like
That's
this,
what I mean.
this
It's like-
special's got everyone covered.
Yeah,
But it's
Marla
not
for the
including
racist
everyone.
mothers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Chewy for the absent dad. So went out for a cigarette 10 years ago.
The dads who decided, I'm not going to watch this shit with my family.
Yeah. This is too fucking weird.
Yeah. The correct
Also-
decision, I think.
Yeah.
Just a fun fact: the food that Marla was cooking is called a Wookie Ookie, and it's a Wookie cookie. So it's like Wookie Ookie.
Yeah, okay.
It's stupid.
It's like the
dumb.
worst pun I've ever heard. It doesn't even work.
No, it like almost works, but it doesn't actually quite. It's like when you go to make a pun, just off the cuff in real life, and you do it, and then you go, "Oh nah," and everybody laughs. It's like that. It's not landed.
But it's canon now. I mean, that's one of the funniest things about this special to me is almost every character from this eventually made their way into like the Star Wars Legends
Yes.
canon.
Yeah.
Which I
Well,
just
and Boba
love.
made it into actual canon.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about it as well is I've forgotten what the chef's name is. It's like Gorthalda or something. And this character who is like a racist stereotype. Sorry, it's Gormanda. I should have guessed because it's a stupid pun. This character who's just like a weird kind of racist stereotype and never should have made it out of this thing, just has made it into other short stories, is like now just a famous chef that exists in the world. And that's not just in Legends, mind you, that's in canon. Like,
Oh, really?
that
Wow.
survived the Disney cull.
Oh, gee.
So yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
Disney.
It's just Star Wars fans are kind of... I think Star Wars fans get that Star Wars is shit. And so you
Yeah.
have to kind of appreciate some of these things.
Either that or they're just really, really shit at letting anything go. Like, I feel like so much of Star Wars is like some of the
True.
fans being like, we can make all of this make sense if we piece it together, right?
Yeah. That's true.
If we just keep digging, eventually we'll get through to the other
It's
side.
a really difficult puzzle. We just
Yeah.
keep trying to cram the bits together.
And like that whole concept became canon in episode 9 of the movies, obviously.
We can just make somebody say, you know that thing I said in the last movie? I didn't
That was a
mean
lie."
that. What I actually meant was this.
Oh,
Totally fine.
classic moment. Anyway, yes. So, going back to the Chewbacca house, some stormtroopers show up and they're kind of looking for Chewie, but also not really. It's very unclear. And the annoying shop guy distracts them with like a Jefferson Starship music video thing. It's all very purple.
Yes.
Good part. I mean, the music is the best part of this, the music videos, because you can just kind of be like, all right, I'm just watching a music video. I've done that before. It's not, maybe I wouldn't choose to watch this one, but it's fine. I can put up with it.
This isn't confusing, and I'm less uncomfortable, except for the VR one, the porn one.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
A disaster.
It's funny though how the troopers all just kind of just totally stop what they're doing, and they just like stare at this music video. Like it's really it's like why would you stop doing your job just to watch this music video? Anyway.
That's pretty good. Yeah, anyway, so the plot still kind of fails to move forward, so they also make Lumpy watch what is, like, in text, a rebel propaganda film. And it's like a cartoon about the heroics of Luke and R2-D2. And, obviously features the first canon appearance of everyone's favorite bounty hunter, Boba Fett.
Which is wild.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, he must have been. I don't really know the story here, but he must have been planned to actually take a role somewhere in the trilogy, right?
I think I remember reading that his design in this little cartoon was like based on the armor they were planning to use for him. But it was just kind of like at that point they'd made the armor and they're like, we're going to put this on a fairly majorish character in one of the later movies. But it was like pretty unclear. So they're sort of like, oh, he's going to be a bounty hunter or something. And that was like pretty much it.
I read another thing recently that apparently for a while Boba Fett was planned to be like the actual sort of baddie, like one of the main baddies instead of Emperor Palpatine or something.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Interesting.
Having a non-Jedi character in this universe.
Especially like having like watched Clone Wars and Rebels. They're constantly talking about in those two, like the old rivalry between the Mandalorians and the Jedi, and everyone's always talking about it, but I always want to see it.
Yeah, when are they going to do something with that? That'd be great.
Right? So that would have been really cool to have like a Boba Fett villain, or just a Mandalorian antagonist would be great.
Yeah, well, like in Clone Wars when they have Death Watch is pretty, like it's just cool having like a more interesting baddies who fight differently.
Yeah, I wish they'd done more with it with Sabine and Ezra and Rebels, but anyway.
Yeah.
So back to this animated skit thing. What's with the animation like style, for want of a better word?
Yeah, it's really
so
weird.
Droopy.
It feels like, you know how when you play a record on a record player and something goes wrong, it's like playing at like 90% speed or something, and it kind of like warps and slows down and speeds up a bit, and you can kind of tell what the music's meant to be, but it doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't quite sound right. That's what this animation looks like. It looks like it's suddenly like getting shifted either too much or too little every so often.
It reminded me of like Van Gogh as well. Like it's like Van Gogh meets a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, like it was a little bit sort of like abstract. Yeah, I think that's giving it a bit too much credit. But I get what you mean in that it sort of looks like weirdly like abstract and the proportions are like a bit weird.
Yeah, also, sorry, I put this note in the wrong spot, but there's actually a page on Wikipedia about porn in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, speaking of characters that have made it from the holiday special into the rest of canon, there's on Wikipedia you can look up pornography. There's a page for pornography that lists all the appearances of pornography in Star Wars, and of course next to the Star Wars holiday special in brackets it says first appearance, which is classic.
Which puts pornography on the same tier as Boba Fett in terms of importance to the Stargate lore.
You mean Star Wars, Elliot? But yes.
Sorry, yeah.
I like this one that says referred to as girly art.
Yeah.
Scarlet rated holovids. I thought it was
so
quite fun.
It's just like death sticks and spice. It's
I'm
so
concerned
cute.
by the fact that the third appearance is in Children of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Right, don't read too much into it.
Okay. Anyway, okay, so leaving this fantastical animated world of propaganda that Lumpy's in, Lumpy gets like a present or something. This bit was really unclear to me, but then he has like something to build.
It's like an instructional video for him building this present. And the joke of the instructional video is it's being delivered by a robot, right?
Yeah.
But he keeps running out of battery or something. And so it's not even a joke, really. It's just a way to slow down this terrible piece of content.
Yeah.
But and they do it over and over and over again. Like it's one joke done about 15 times in a row.
Yeah, with nothing else. It's just, now take the quantum carburetor and plug it into the... And then you wait for 2 seconds, and then he goes, oh, I'm back, and now do this. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's just that
Goes
over
for
and
like
over
5
again.
minutes.
Um,
I think was it something that Lumpy was going to use to like contact Chewbacca or something? I think in my mind I was trying to make it link
Trying
into
to
the
relate
plot,
this to
but I can't
something,
remember if
yeah.
that ended up being the case or if that was just me being like, this has to be related to the plot somehow.
he uses it later to radio in a fake call for the stormtroopers.
That's it,
Oh
yeah.
my god, this thing is a
But-
masterpiece of plot.
Yeah, but it's really unclear that he could do that beforehand. I just love that, they sent out this toy with this instruction device, and that was the best take that they could get for the instructions. Like, they couldn't
Like
have
they're
charged his
selling
battery
this
first.
high-tech equipment, but they can't have like a
Yeah.
robot. Also, there's never been an android in Star Wars before this, I don't think. Like, there's droids, but that's, I think, the only time I've ever seen like a human-looking like android.
Interesting. Another important
Another
piece of Star
first
Wars
appearance, potentially.
lore.
Probably.
And only.
Hopefully.
Anyway, so then after all that stuff, and honestly, my memory of this part of the special, I think my brain was shutting down at this point. I can't remember.
It's getting a little
Can't remember
fuzzy now.
why-
Yeah. This is
Yeah,
when
I
the
can't
whiskey was
remember-
kicking in.
So I don't remember why this next part happens, but like, who gives a fuck? We know it doesn't matter. There's now some Imperial propaganda that plays about how Tatooine is shit, and so we watch like this bar get closed by the Empire as kind of proof that the Empire is good.
Mhm.
And this is maybe the genuinely one enjoyable scene
Yeah,
in this
I
entire
liked
special.
this one too.
this song actually slaps. It's awesome.
Like, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched the holiday special, which I envy you, this is the one scene to go and look up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like the holiday special bar scene.
So it's B. Arthur singing a song called "Good Night But Not Goodbye," and it's actually just good. Like, it's actually just good. And this song is stuck in my head. I watched it again today, and I was like, "This is just a good song. I love
There's
it."
also like lots of cool aliens in the bar, and like, yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
scene.
And
Did
we
you
get
rat
that.
at one point?
It's
we
like
get
that
the-
thing we were talking about where we're saying like you want to see more like just what the everyday Joe does in the Star Wars universe. I feel like
Yes.
this was a bit of that.
Yes, definitely.
100%.
Which,
There's
interestingly,
this-
I had a very different take to Elliot. I didn't think it was saying that the Empire was good because they closed the bar. I thought the Empire was bad because they were closing the bar. I thought the bar was supposed to be like a nice like community. Like, they're all a bunch of criminals, but it was like their community hangout.
No,
And
that's
Empire
exactly
went
my
and
point.
closed it.
In this special, this is meant to be Imperial propaganda, but it's
Oh.
fucking shit Imperial propaganda because it makes the Imperials look like the bad guys.
Oh, was it? I guess I wasn't paying attention to what the context was. Okay, I'm with you now.
Shame on you, not paying the utmost
Yeah.
attention.
I am really glad though, Ruben, that you said you did rewatch this and still enjoy this scene, because I was a little worried that like my enjoyment of this scene was just like because my brain was desperate to enjoy something.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
you
no.
know,
It's genuine. It's genuinely like, I mean, I just watched the song. There's a bit of padding around it where there's this guy who's got like a volcano for a head.
Oh,
And
yes,
he-
and he drinks to his head.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
kind of hitting on her. And I don't really remember if I enjoyed that bit or not. I'm sure it was probably fine. But once it gets into the song, it's actually just like a good kind of Star Wars musical number that I dug.
No,
Yeah.
I found that guy really like because he was like stalking her, and then remember
Yeah.
at the end, and
Yeah.
she'd sort of like sung everybody out, and then I was like, oh my god, she's going to turn around and he's going to be there, and then he
Yep.
was there, and then I can't remember what happened after that now.
No, I think it resolved like heartwarmingly. I don't think it was.
Did he give her some flowers or something? And she was like, oh,
Yeah, he
okay,
did.
fine, whatever. Just wear him down, boys.
No, I think she maybe saw it. Oh, look, I'm not going to pretend to have a clear memory of this. Yeah, but no, it's just good because this song's like an hour and 10 minutes into the special. So, like, yeah, I was quite worried that it's like, am I just enjoying this because like I'm too far gone?
Yeah, I was
'Cause,
drunk by this point, but I remember enjoying it.
I remember as well as the song, there is a bit where I think it's like it's the stalker guy. He sort of says, "Oh, there are 6 words that you said that have stuck with me. and then he says the 6 words and he counts them and he's got 6 fingers.
Yeah.
I
And he
actually remember
counts them
thinking,
out,
that's
yeah.
actually funny.
Yeah.
And then she says it to the next person like it's something she just says to everyone. He's just like, oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah, the words are, come back soon, I'll be waiting. And he takes
that's
this
it.
as a sign of her affection, but she just says it.
Which is
to
literally
everybody
like
as they
Apu,
leave.
like, come again. And he's like, oh, she loves me.
Also, when this scene starts, like as it's being set up as Imperial propaganda, the like Imperial disclaimer at the start is like, this transmission is unrehearsed and unedited. And I just remember thinking, you should have put that at the start of the whole fucking special.
That might have helped set expectations.
Yeah, if this was all improv.
I mean, dead set, I do believe about half of the special was just improv.
I think honestly, I think it's just whatever was written down was just so uninteresting that the actors added some flair to it, and that was just, and everyone involved was like, I mean, it's an improvement. Let's take it, you know.
Can you imagine the sort of like, what would the script have been for the Wookiee bits? Because it'd just be like, and then Lumpy walks over, and then he sort of makes a Wookiee noise, and then his mum makes a Wookiee noise at him and points over here, and like it'd pretty much just be blocking, and just. So, I just can't imagine what they were thinking when they wrote it.
This is
gonna be great.
This is the writing process. It goes like this: Lumpy walks over to the keyboard, and then he says, and then Itchy walks over, and Itchy says that. Okay, perfect.
This is really good stuff.
That'll do. Yeah.
Fucking nailed it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we gave enough like highlight to this at the start of the episode, but like, what a fucking wild choice to base the first half hour of this just around Wookiees who don't speak English.
It's so like, what even how successful must Star Wars have been for you to be like, let's do this, and then it just be like, yeah, it's Star Wars, let's do it. Like, absolutely bonkers.
And then there's even that bit where I think they call Luke Skywalker, which is hilarious. But and he's going like, is there anyone there who I can speak to? Like, he can't even understand them in universe. It's like, oh my god. And they're just like gesticulating at him, and he's going like, where's Chewie? And then that weird salesman guy turns up, who they all display like a lot of trust in for some reason. It's really like Leia says something like, I can see they're in good hands. It's like, who is this guy?
Yeah. Is he famous? I mean, he did, again, another character that made it out of the canon. Made it into a video game, I think, and now he's like canonized.
Excellent.
Perfect.
I've forgotten what his name is. It's like Sal Grumbo or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Sal. Can't remember his last name.
It can't be Sal. That's too on the nose.
Sal the salesman. That sounds about right, actually.
Yeah, that's not too on the nose. We literally had, like, what was it? Egan Sleaze Bagano from the prequel.
Yeah, Sleaze Bagano.
Anyway, back to the holiday special. Chewbacca actually makes it home at last. He beats up some stormtroopers. And then he and his wife Marla have a really intense reunion before, like, everyone walks into a bright light or something. Like I googled this part and nobody understands what the fuck it is. Like, it's weird. But they all walk into a light or something.
Yeah, I've seen this holiday special twice now, and this part always just gets lost because maybe it just means nothing, but it's like all I can picture is people in robes, and there's a tree, and there's lights, and nothing else has made it into my memory from this scene.
There is nothing else. I went like and looked it up and everything. It's just they sort of say, okay, now we're ready to do Life Day, and everyone just suddenly is in robes, and they walk into a light. It's really unclear where this is happening, and then suddenly they're in the tree place. There is no more to it.
Yeah. I guess I'm faulting my memory for just non-existent content in this scene.
Yeah, it's not your memory. It's just the special. Now, what is this thing you've just thrown in our notes live?
So I was just trying to find the name of the shop owner guy, and I saw a quote. I saw in the IMDb quotes section. So the character of the pornography
Oh, no.
VR girl is called, the character is Mermea Holographic Wow. That's the name of the character.
No, it's
so
not.
It is. I'm going to read out the quote here. So Mermea Holographic Wow says, I am found in your eyes only, eyes only. I am in your mind as you create me. Oh yes, I can feel my creation. Giggles. Then she says, I'm getting your message. Are you getting mine? And then Itchy, the line says, orgasmic sounding, cool. And then Holographic Wow says, oh, we are getting excited, aren't we? So it's clear. I mean, there's no illusions about it. Like, it's clearly just porn.
I was also trying to look up this guy's name, and I found on the Wikipedia page it has like a list of shame. We've got the producers, the directors, the writers. George Lucas. It says George Lucas story.
Yeah.
This is even worse than the prequels.
What story?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. What story?
I mean, there is this core sort of story of like Chewbacca's family getting hassled by Imperials. He shows up, they go to Life Day, but it's like nobody deserves credit for coming up with this loose thing that is like clearly just a vehicle to introduce all of the skits that are really like the point of the special.
We have the budget here too.
Oh god! Oh wait, can I guess?
Yeah,
Like 50,000?
Higher.
No,
Ooh.
that doesn't sound right.
It's $1 million.
Oh no!
What? Where did they spend it? They must have like just had really good like snacks on set or something.
All the cocaine that Carrie Fisher said she did, probably.
Yeah, it's the cocaine budget for the writers.
What I think, because like Carrie Fisher specifically brought up the holiday special in her like memoirs, is like she just doesn't remember them, or she didn't remember filming this like at all. She was just coked out of her mind for the whole thing.
I think everyone was.
Can I just read out some parts from the holiday special Wikipedia page? So obviously, I'm in the scripting section. Basically, this thing was written by a lot of people, and that's potentially why it's such a mess. At some point, the script was given to somebody called Bruce Valanche, and here's a quote, who is unsure how to write for characters who do not speak a human language. And then they created the character of Sean Dan, who's the shopkeeper, who was created as a bridge to the audience. So there was a version of this holiday special where this shopkeeper didn't come in to translate at all. It was just Wookiees the entire time.
Wow. And this guy's like, we need a person who can speak.
How is that? How did this happen? I don't understand.
Honestly, can I just say I'm disappointed that Bruce Valanche didn't manage to fix it like that. Imagine if the whole thing had just been in Wookiee. That would have been even better.
Yikes.
God. Yeah, so we haven't talked about what is definitely the most upsetting part of the special that we just sort of got to in I think, which is Chewbacca and Mala have this big thing that looks like they're about to kiss, and then the cowards at CBS undid it and they don't actually kiss, and I was fucking devastated.
That was funny.
Like, it's like a full minute of like zooming in on their faces and playing romantic music, and it's hilarious because you can't tell which is which, because I looked this up and the Mala costume is actually just based on like an old Chewbacca one that didn't make the cut for episode 4.
So it's like Yaddle.
So yeah, pretty much. Like they went back and they got the proper Chewbacca costume for Chewie, and then they got like an unused one for Mala, and then they like they try to do a thing where they're staring lovingly into each other's eyes, but because these things are suits that don't have expressions, it just doesn't work. Like it's just like slow panning shots of these unmoving faces going like
orgasmic sounding.
I'm sorry, I'm still on the Star Wars Holiday Special Wikipedia page. There's so much crazy shit in here, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's some more fun facts about this thing. So the one sequence that we liked, the cantina sequence with B. Arthur, it was filmed over one entire day, from 6 a.m. on a day to 6 a.m. the next day. And the next line says,
"Whoa.
The costumed actors withstood heat, claustrophobia, and low oxygen intake. When B. Arthur's son visited the set, he saw a nurse running around feeding oxygen into the various aliens to make sure they didn't pass out."
Holy shit.
What the fuck happened here?
That is
Why?
amazing.
So they spent $1 million in 24 hours.
No.
Sorry,
This is just that
this,
one scene.
This was just the one scene,
No,
not
but I
the
mean
entire thing.
one scene.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said the whole
sorry.
thing was filmed in 24 hours,
No,
which
no,
I
no,
could
just
sort
the
of also
cantina
see.
scene.
Oh, okay.
Also, Robin Williams was almost going to be in this.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
In another twist. I'm not sure who. I think the chef, he was going to be Gourmanda. I'm not really sure.
Oh, dodged a bullet there, Robin.
Yes, 100%. Although, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he could have had some input to make it not. I mean, that is the worst sequence in the thing, right? Like, it's atrocious.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
apparently the
Sorry.
Wookiee noises, I don't know what Chewie's Wookiee noises are, but apparently Marla and Itchy, a guy called Ben Burt, he had to go to the Olympic Game farm in Washington and spent days trying to get the animals to vocalize. Marla's voice is black bears and Itchy's are grizzly bears. And Lumpy is a baby bear called Tarek at San Jose Zoo. No wonder it's so hard to imitate. It's actually a fucking bear.
That's awesome.
Okay, two more facts from this thing. So first off is a quote from Steve Binder, who became the director after it was already had run out of budget. So just bear that in mind. He comes in to shoot the Chewbacca scenes, the family scenes, and here's a quote. I saw the first 10 minutes with the Chewbacca family was just in subtitles. I thought, we're going to be in trouble. And also, so the project ran so out of money that this is why the Life Day ceremony is terrible, because they had already run out of money by the time they had to film it. So they just basically like brought in like dollar store Chewbacca masks and like just candles from the dollar store and stuff to use as
incredible
as the props and costumes for that scene, and it really shows.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I would watch the absolute fucking shit out of a documentary on the making of this holiday special. After all this shit we're reading, like
it'd be great.
I would go to the movies. I would pay lots of ticket money to see a documentary about the making of this, because this is fucking fascinating.
There's a couple of other really good quotes here on this Wikipedia page. There's one from a guy called Leonard Rips, who says, I think George Lucas wanted to make a sweet and sentimental vision of a holiday season, and I think it evolved into something maudlin, which was not what I thought his vision was. No shit, there's no way he pictured that. And then there's another very good one down here about the release. The determination was that it was a bit too late then to do much about it. We couldn't pull the show. And I guess there was a determination that, well, it wasn't really that bad compared to other Christmas specials, so what the hell? What are these other Christmas specials like?
We'll get to that next Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to finish off with this one, actually, we're right at the end of our notes. They go to this tree light place with dollar store stuff that Reuben just explained.
Yep.
And like all the other humans arrive, like Luke, Leia, Han, and all that. And they kind of do this weird appropriation of Life Day, which seems to be a Wookiee holiday. And they're sort of like, yeah, it's about all of us now. And, it's about all of our hope. Leia takes it over in this really uncomfortable way. And then she sings a song about like freedom, or it was something like that. And then we just see a clip show of like the original movie for some reason.
Yeah, that was random.
And then it just mercifully ends.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher has like a decent voice though. Like she actually sung quite well.
Apparently very coked out, but anyways.
Oh, also to talk about the droid stuff we've brought up, C-3PO is like they're talking about Life Day, and C-3PO says something. He's like, I wish I was really alive so that I could experience the joy of Life Day.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So, just right back to this special, the sort of shitting on droid sentience was already part of the canon.
Yeah, I mean, This was, I would say overall, like, this was very strange. And I definitely felt very uncomfortable in some of the weird, like, hypersexual bits. But, like, it's funny and it's, like, interesting, I guess, as opposed to the following one.
I would put this in the so bad it's good category of viewing.
Yeah.
Personally.
It's hard though, because so many it goes on for like 6 times as long as it should, right?
Yeah,
Like
the
it
problem is the
really
length.
drags.
Reuben, do you remember the Neil Breen movies we watched together? Like, 'cause, like that is an important part of the genre.
Look out, save
Yeah.
tickets.
I guess. It just, some of those segments really hurt, and not in a fun way.
That's true.
I
I don't know
think
if
the
I'm
problem
remembering
is-
it the best, because I do remember turning to, like, Hannah, my sister, was there, and I went, can you please click on the thing to see how much, like, could you please look up how long this is? And she's like, it's 2 hours, and it had been like 20 minutes. And I was like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
genuinely upset. I was like, no, I can't sit here for another like hour and 40 minutes watching this.
Yeah, but I mean, Reuben, you got to remember, for us, like, this wasn't our first time watching it. I think that was our mistake. I think like watching this in kind of bad film mode the first time, I think it's the fun kind of bad movie.
Yeah, okay.
This was my third time watching it, and it was definitely like
You're
halfway
mad,
through. I was like,
man.
"What am I doing?"
What is
doing
wrong
it?
with you, Elliot? You're
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah, because there's definitely a thing, like, I just remember that Cirque du Soleil bit, and it kind of was like, this is weird. And then it's like, oh, it's still going. And then and then it starts to be really funny, because you're like, this is wild. Like, you know, but I guess if you've seen it, you don't have that. Like, just for me, it was like, it just got weirder and weirder. And so the whole time, like, you sort of, and you do feel like you're on cocaine. Because it's
Also,
just
they keep cutting
how
to-
can this be real? And I guess you'd lose that on a second watch.
So they keep cutting back to Lumpy, like, looking at the Cirque du Soleil thing, and he just looks like a predator.
There's
Like,
I sent
it's
a
fucking
gift to someone
scary.
the other day of if you look up
It
just
was
like
me.
a Giphy thing, yeah, and you just look up, I just looked up Wookiee, and that was what came up first, and it was terrifying. It's like, I'm sending it.
Yeah.
Very good.
I mean, I don't know. I think this is a good bad movie. Like, I think I would fail to enjoy a Neil Breen film the second or third time as much as I did this one.
Unlike The Room, which I could watch that again.
See, I couldn't.
Yeah, I'm
I barely
surprised.
made it through once.
You'd have to space it out. When did I watch
That's
that?
true.
It's in my last year of uni or something.
This was also I will say this was my first time watching the holiday special sober, which did not help. I've been basically blackout drunk the other 2 times, and I think that's what got me through it.
Yeah, I
With
mean,
this one,
like
it
I
was the
said, I
fact we were doing a
actually
group watch.
that was I asked her, and I'm like, how long does this go for? And she's like 2 hours. I was like, and it was in the middle of that lady's song in the VR porn thing, and I was like, oh, this doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon, so I'm going to go get a drink.
Yeah, that's very fair.
So, should we give it scores out of 10, everyone? Score out of 10?
Oh, that's so
I don't know.
hard. Because I guess it's like, what are we scoring against? Because if I'm scoring against, like, you know, Forrest Gump, or am I scoring it against, like, a Neil Breen film? Or am I scoring it against the Lego Star Wars one?
It's like halfway between a 7 out of 10 and a 2 out of 10. You know what I mean? It alternates
both,
between those two. So therefore it's a 4.5, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, should we get into the surprisingly less enjoyable Lego Star Wars Holiday Special?
This was very disappointing.
There was, okay, before we bag on this too much, there's one aspect in which it is a grand improvement over the regular holiday special, which is the original one. Yeah, I mean, it's only 44 minutes long.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, it was like Christmas. It was a life day miracle, honestly.
That's very true. I remember it finished, I was like, oh, God.
I don't know if you could see this, Georgia, because we used that Disney Plus thing to watch it together, and like, I was doing that thing, where you sort of tap on the remote to see how far into it you are, and I did that like about 10 minutes in, and saw we were already like 25% of the way through, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, it really helped it go down a lot easier. I'll be honest.
But like, I think the other thing, because to be fair, when I've heard about the original holiday special and heard like it's bad, but it exceeded my expectations in that it was like it was less bad and more weird than I expected. Whereas this one, I thought it would be like the Lego Batman film, which is really good.
Yeah.
And that was where my expectation was. I was genuinely expecting this to be good, and it was not.
Yeah, I mean, they released a trailer for this thing, and I saw the trailer and was like, "Oh, this is something that I would actually watch." But it's because there are in the 44 minutes, there's I think about 3 good jokes, and they're all in the trailer. Like, every single joke that I liked I had already seen it at least once. So it really expectations really hampered this one for me.
I just think it's funny because it's bad for entirely different reasons. Like it's like it's boring. Like as Georgia said, at least the original one was fucking weird, and so you can kind of get a kick out of seeing it the first time, being like, how much drugs were they on? Whereas like this one, you're just like, nobody gave a shit in this one, did they? Like they just phoned it in.
It's so heartless. Like it has no heart. It's just this like corporate, sad, just money making thing with just no love in it. It's really sad.
Now, I've got a fun little game we can play here. Are you ready? The game is called Guess Which 2 Star Wars cast members reprised their roles for this. There are 2 cast members.
Okay, it's not Daisy Ridley because Ray's voice bothered me the whole time so much. It was so not right.
I don't know what you're talking about, Georgia.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was like a full octave lower than Daisy Ridley's voice.
Yeah, and the accent was. It was like, how there's that thing that to make something scary in like a movie or whatever, you have to have things that look just off of right, like
the uncanny valley.
Yeah, exactly, uncanny valley. That's what her voice was. It was like it was nearly Daisy Ridley, but it was just a bit too far off that it was like really unnerving.
Yeah,
bothered me the whole time. The whole time, Hannah and I going, "Oh, I can't." Like her voice every time she spoke was like, "Oh no," it's really weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not her.
No.
So these are like sequels movie people.
These are people from Star Wars. Well, you will know the actors and characters, like major characters. There are only 2 of them, 2 actors that reprise their roles for this.
I will potentially guess Liam Neeson because I know he's done that before, like with Clone Wars and stuff.
It's a good guess, but it's not correct, I'm afraid.
Oh, good. I'm so happy for Liam Neeson.
I'll tell you the first one.
The Palpatine guy?
Nope.
No, there's no way that's
the first one is Anthony Daniels, who voices C-3PO, who I think I've heard is very protective of the C-3PO voice, and so we'll just do C-3PO in everything. So he's the one. The other one I'm very surprised by, knowing what I know about their relationship to Star Wars.
Oh.
What, Hayden Christensen?
No, the answer is Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose.
Huh.
Oh.
Who
interesting.
Wasn't she like really poorly treated by Star Wars as a franchise? I'm surprised that she came back for this.
Yeah, that's really random. Well, because I think it was more like, for some reason, the fandom just decided to massively hate her, which...
Well, some reason. It was...
Yeah.
It's
like you had to
reason.
Assume racism because there was no other good reason, but I can't...
Well, some misogyny.
Yeah, I'd put a bit of misogyny.
That's true as well. But I mean, and then they just basically didn't really have her in the final film. And she went from being a very like a happy-go-lucky character to just being this really depressed character. And it was almost like they'd written in the real world into her character. Like, why is she so sad now?
Well, it's because episode 9 was just JJ listening to all of the biggest complaints about episode 8 that was stupid and incorporating them into episode 9. But
yeah, weird.
Let's not retread that old ground.
No.
She did only have like 2 or 3 lines in this special, so
she probably got paid well for it too. So she's actually probably getting her revenge on them. She's like milking this money for this shitty film.
She deserves to.
Yeah, she deserves all the money.
Anyway, but let's dive into this special and the plot.
Oh,
in inverted
sorry.
commas.
No, there's one more. I just noticed there's one more person. Billy D.
Ooh.
Williams as Lando Calrissian. I don't even
Oh.
remember seeing him, but he's in it.
Oh
Yeah, he's in, like,
no,
one
old
scene.
Lando he turned up for the party.
Yes, that would be.
The ever so important party. For some reason was very important to everyone.
Yeah. Anyway, so okay, the plot for this thing. I'm gonna do this. You're not getting out of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do it
okay,
already.
go.
Get it over with.
What
So
plot?
Rey is training Finn to be a Jedi because apparently we've learnt nothing in these 9 movies. And the rest of the gang is preparing for a Life Day party. Yeah. What is Rey doing? Why is she starting the Jedi Order again?
Unclear.
Why not?
Honestly,
say.
I know I'm supposed to be the Star Wars expert, but I just lose it when it gets to the sequels. I've watched all of them only once, and I didn't care for them, and so I don't really remember what's really been going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, this special really reinforced to me how little of an attachment I have to the sequel characters.
Yeah, like when like Obi-Wan
Yeah.
turned up, I'm like, oh, it's Obi-Wan. When Rey turned up, I was like, oh, okay. It's very
yeah,
true.
even like fucking Qui-Gon Jinn, who's only in one movie, like he's not, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, it's Qui-Gon Jinn. And when I see Rey or Finn, or I see you've written Poe in the notes, and I didn't even recognize who that was for,
It took
for
a
this
little
entire
while.
film.
I was saying to Hannah, I'm like, we were looking, we're like, is that meant to be Poe? Who is that?
Yeah, just no attachment to them, like absolutely none.
That was the thing. Wait, the note I've got written here is that Poe was the only character I enjoyed in this like special.
Which
And
I
it was
personally
because,
disagree with, but anyway.
Yeah, me too. I'm surprised
because he
at
was
that
like
take.
he was a stupid idiot. Like, and that just fit in with the vibe of the whole fucking special.
That's true. He was the
Like,
only
I guess.
He was
in place character, I suppose. Like,
yeah, he was being a chaotic idiot, and like that was what this special really was. So he actually fit in, and I think from what I remember of Poe from the sequel movies, he was kind of like a bit happy go lucky. So he's like, yeah, I don't know. I found him like the one person who I enjoyed seeing on the screen because he was always doing stupid shit.
my favorite character was Lumpy. When Lumpy and Itchy and Marla came back in, I was like, wow, this is the peak of the film.
Exactly. I had the same thought. But then they get no lines, and I don't think they're even named. They're just called like Chewbacca's family. And I'm like, oh, don't do them dirty like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I was like, no, if you're going to put these guys in a holiday special, I want 20 minutes of them making wookie noises at each other. You
Where
fucks.
is Itchy's VR porn? It's not Life Day without
I was
it.
waiting for them to make a reference to it, and they didn't, the fucking cowards.
Fucking Disney, they're so PC.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, like Rey goes to some Jedi temple to learn how to teach Finn because she's a shit teacher.
She's
And
really shit. She's actually really shit.
She gets like a handheld TARDIS thing so she can go anywhere in time and space, and she basically just does like highlights of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy because this special realized the way to make itself good was to escape the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
So she runs into Vader from like episode 6 or something, and they get in a fight, and then it kind of turns into a shitty clip show, but it's Lego.
Before we jump into that, can I just point out, is it just me, or the way that Rey is traveling through space-time, is it like an intentional reference to Doctor Strange, do you think? Because there's this thing, have you guys seen Doctor Strange? In Doctor Strange, he has this ring that he like,
oh yeah, he like
makes
a circle
with.
thing. Yeah.
And it looks so similar. The effect of the portal that opens up looks so similar to this one. I couldn't tell if it was intentionally a reference or not. It was really getting in my... It was like a popcorn kernel stuck in my brain.
Also, the thing she was using, was it like 3 or 4 crystals that had been duct taped together? Because that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Why were they duct taped? I was like, who made this?
Well, you know, the Force can only hold things together so strong. Eventually, you need duct tape.
You need a bit of duct tape.
Yeah, I think you're right, Reuben. That does sound like... Wait, I hadn't made the Doctor Strange connection, but they looked familiar, and that's totally what it is.
Yeah, especially the spinning motion to open it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that was
so
very similar.
strange.
Yeah, anyway, but like this whole segment is just weird because it's just a clip show, but it's like not like it's just shitty Lego versions of like these nice cinematic scenes. Like I don't.
And they
This is
kind
the
of ruined
closest
them a
to
little
the
bit.
original.
Like they
Sorry?
made them like they didn't like they did them with like really like weird dialogue that made it shitter than it normally was. Does that make sense?
I liked some of the like I think this special was at its best when it was kind of lovingly mocking Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there were points where this felt Galaxy Quest-ish, where it was like you know when Rey jumps into the thing, she was like, "I have a good feeling about this," and I was like, "Ah, that's a good reference."
Yeah, all the three
Um,
Obi-Wans being like, "Hello there."
yeah,
Yeah.
That was the
Well, my
best part of the
favorite
movie.
line, which was in the trailer as well, where the two Han Solos ask each other who should shoot first, which is just
Yeah,
classic.
that was very good.
yeah, like it's like reference humor and poking fun. Like I actually really enjoyed the bit where Palpatine is calling it the Death Star 2. And everyone else is like, that's a shit name. And like just kind of mocking the whole premise of like that they just built another Death Star.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that.
Yeah, but it's weird. You're right. Sometimes it's making fun of it, and sometimes it kind of just does it like it's a school play version of Star Wars, where
Yeah.
these shittier versions of the characters are putting on like their take on what Star Wars major scenes were. It was very
Yeah.
strange.
That's what I thought, that the bits that some of it was, it was like cool, like sort of just reference humor. And then some bits, it felt like a weird, shitty version of the original one for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Just talking about good lines again. I think the other big laugh I actually got out of this special is there's a bit where Rey starts talking about how like incestuous the like lineages of her Jedi thing, where she's like, oh, and Luke's my master, and that's my master's master, and then also like that's my grandpa. I like just bringing up how weirdly just small and incestuous this lineage of the films is. Like I
Yeah,
did
that's
enjoy
true.
them taking the
I
piss out
sort
of
of
that.
missed that one.
Yeah. Okay. So Rey and Vader end up traveling in time and doing stuff, and
They're
I only
like
watched
fighting. They're fighting and they're falling through. This was maybe
Yeah.
a fun part. Not when they're fighting, but just that for about a minute, every 5 seconds or so, they'll fall through a different scene from Star Wars history. And you have about a second to be like, oh, what scene is this? Oh, it's this scene. And then all the characters from that scene get pulled into a portal and keep falling. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a fun moment.
I did like the bit too where they fell through the Mandalorian and it was just the child and they're all like, "Oh, he's so cute," and then it just moves on. Pretty much the
I did get a
Mandalorian.
kick out of that part. Yeah. But it's funny how I only watched this 3 days ago, and all of this is already starting to blur because it's just so
totally
endless.
is. It is kind of lifeless, isn't it? Ironically, it's set on Life Day and it's got no life.
Exactly.
But yeah, so like eventually Rey manages to put everyone back where they were after she strands them all on Tatooine, and she kind of has like the like Luke Skywalker, but from before he was trained to be a Jedi, so before Episode 4, with him, and he just stands there sipping blue milk. And honestly, I really enjoyed him as a character.
Actually,
was
that
the
might have been my
best.
favorite. That would have been the part that I kept. Like the thing that every time he sipped the blue milk, I laughed. I was like, "That is so good," because it's just like a little like cartoony like carton of milk, and he'd get the little
And a little
mustache
blue
every
milk
time.
mustache. Yeah.
That
But he was
actually
just
pretty
such an
good.
idiot. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed him for the same reason I enjoyed Poe, which is like he was just this guy, and all this crazy shit's happening, and he'd just sip his blue milk and be like, "This is wild."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just-
It was
he was so
great.
nothing.
It was classic. Best character for sure.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a bit with Kylo that was alright, where they kind of make fun of Kylo Ren and how he like throws tantrums and doesn't wear shirts.
Yeah, the shirtless
Yeah.
bit was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because that was
Again,
funny
like,
in the original film as well, where Rey's like,
that's true.
"Should I come back or something?" Or like, "Could you put a shirt on?"
Weirdly, this one was about half as long as the original holiday special, and again, felt like it was about 6 times too long. Like, they just
Yeah,
didn't have enough
it drags
content
on.
for it, right?
Absolutely. Like it was funny going back through the notes I took as I was watching to put this together. About 3/4 of my notes were just me quoting one-liners that, like, looking back at the notes 2 days later, I didn't remember the context of, and I was just like, this thing was just so nothing that like all I managed to take as meaningful notes were quoting one-liners that lost their context. That said, I did note down one thing, which is canonically now this special establishes that episode 6, like the battle on Endor, took place on Life Day, which I think is important because that means Chewie wasn't with his family on that Life Day.
Oh, Elliot.
Because I think we've gone through we've probably visited every funny line in the film by now. For every funny line, so we've made it sound funnier than it probably is, because I'd say for every funny line, there's like 20 not funny lines. And the writing generally was poor. Like there's the bit where, I think because Elliot and I watched it at the same time, we're messaging each other, and there's a bit where Palpatine goes to Vader, "Me wanty you getty," and I was like, what is that?
What is that? Yeah.
I
There's a lot of stuff like that. I don't know.
I couldn't decide if it was really funny or just like the worst fucking writing I've ever heard in my life.
And Poe talks about the fucking fantasy chickens so much, and really that dragged on a lot for me.
To go back to Palpatine, George, actually,
he's cooking like fantasy turkey, right?
Yeah.
And it takes up so much time, and it's so not funny.
They clearly, the problem is they clearly dedicated themselves to having this Life Day party be like a B plot.
Yeah.
And they had nothing for it, so it just comes across as like massive filler.
But it also wasn't the B plot; it was actually the A plot. Like everybody was treating it as though this party was like more important than anything else that could possibly. Like they're like, Ray, you cannot miss this party. It was like, what's so big fucking deal about this party?
But to speak about one other thing I enjoyed, you mentioned Palpatine, Georgia. I actually really enjoyed how he was like just constantly changing who his apprentice was.
Yeah.
Like he was constantly being like, no, Kylo is my apprentice, not Vader. And then Kylo did something. He's like, no, that person will be my apprentice. Because that was very much what he did in the prequels. So I enjoyed that sort of character reference. Again, the only time this thing got close to being good was when it was kind of making fun of the characters in the original like movies.
Yeah.
Did you guys know Emperor Palpatine himself condemned Life Day as a menace, I'm quoting here, a disgraceful menace of a holiday which encourages activities unbecoming of an imperial citizen. Star Wars, so fucking weird.
I assume you're getting that from Wikipedia.
I am, yes. It's a real, you can really dive down this deep rabbit hole of weird Life Day, the ways that the Star Wars canon has tried to make Life Day cool.
Well, because they probably replaced it with, like Elliot would know from watching Rebels, they have Empire Day, which is basically a day to encourage rebels to plot terrorist attacks, from what I could tell. That seemed to be the holiday tradition.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyways, that's the Lego special. I am shocked. I would not have thought 2 weeks ago that I would be coming here to say that it was the worst of the two things we watched.
Yeah,
but it absolutely is. And that's crazy to think about. But the Star Wars Holiday Special, stuff will stick in my mind about it forever, whereas I'm already forgetting this. It's fading very quickly.
Yeah. I think there's like overall the original one is like it is very like original and sort of funny and weird, whereas this one is just like sad and forgettable. It's just the other one is so bad it's good. This one was just bad.
Yeah. But now I've prepared a special secret segment. As
Elliot
it is written
messaged us saying, I've got a good idea for a secret segment and I'm not going to tell anyone what it is.
So here's my pitch for this segment. And this is like a collaborative segment that we're about to do. Obviously, so we've got this original holiday special, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's set during the original trilogy. And now we've got this new one that's set in the sequel trilogy. And I can't help but notice that our favorite trilogy has gone without a holiday special. And I think the three of us have spent so much time studying the prequels recently that we can put together the ultimate prequel holiday special.
Oh, we totally could.
I already have a great idea for the core premise, okay?
Okay. Hit me.
One of those fake-ass fantasy sports that are playing in the bar during, I think, episode 1 or 2, I can't remember.
It's 2,
basically, it's like a kind of a sports movie about the team, one of these new ball teams or whatever, that's the underdogs, and one of the characters from the prequel trilogy, I'm not sure who, maybe Qui-Gon, maybe Anakin, has to come in and be like the guest coach that rallies the team together and gets them to believe in themselves, and then they can finally take down the big mean team.
See, I mean, that sounds like a good, 20 to 45-minute skit.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Wait, what does it have to do with Life Day?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
The final
This
can be
needs
on
to-
Life Day or something. Whatever.
Wait, well,
No.
it has a plot which the other two didn't have, so I suppose it's already
No, it
winning.
needs to be something about like some group coming together for Life Day. Like
Right.
that is. I mean, it could even be Chewbacca's family. They're fucking immortal or some shit. I don't know.
Mhm.
Oh, Lumpy could be like a little baby.
Or
Yeah,
it could be
what
the
was
origin
the age
story of Itchy.
Oh, Marla's pregnant.
Oh yeah, Marla's pregnant. Marla's pregnant.
Marla's pregnant, and Obi-Wan and Anakin need to save her from the Separatists to get her home for Life Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And on the way, they encounter all these wacky planets that have skits like the one Reuben mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
Yeah, I like that.
That's pretty good.
There's like I want to say at least a 2-hour skit, or at least that's how long it feels. That's like just about the Federation droids, because what Clone Wars, the reason I will never say that the Clone Wars TV show is very good is because it never had a Federation drones episode.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what
the
we
drones
would put
need
in
their
it.
time in the sun in this special.
Because they're fucking hilarious.
Because there
I
could be
think we
some
may-
kind of joke around the fact that they're not alive and it's Life Day and something about that.
I think
No, they've got to be doing something like they're trying to wrap a present for Grievous or something, you know?
Oh,
Guys,
And
yes.
hilarity ensues as they can't wrap this present because, one of them gets the ribbon tied around them and accidentally activates, like, the droideca factory.
This is very good.
I think we're going about this the wrong way, because you
Am I
guys are
sober?
putting together what sounds like a coherent and not terrible Star Wars special. And so I'd like to pitch an alternate idea, right? Because
Okay.
obviously we have to start by thinking about what could make this the worst Star Wars holiday special of all time. And I'll tell you this. The answer is, imagine
Jar
if you
Binks.
will, that Life Day is not just celebrated by Wookiees, but is also celebrated by Gungans. That's right.
No, you're right.
This
You're
Star Wars
right. That
holiday
has to be
special
it.
takes place in Otto Gunga, and we're following the family of Jar Jar Binks as they
Oh,
wait for
no.
him to come back for Life
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That's what it has to be.
There is
How-
something
how
to
to make-
that.
Padme should also feature heavily, as should
Yes,
C-3PO.
yes, she should.
Yeah, no, fuck, you're right. So Jar Jar Binks' wife is pregnant, and they're trying to get her to him for Life Day.
Yeah.
He has a love interest in Clone Wars, remember?
I know.
Does
Yeah,
he?
she's like,
Wait,
He
yeah, she's like the
does.
queen. There's
She's
like this
some
queen of a
super
planet,
powerful queen, force wielding queen lady.
and she's mad keen on Jar Jar. It's fucking weird.
Weird. Oh, guys, this has to be it, because I just went to the Wikipedia page for Otto Gunga, and let me read the quote at the top here. It's, of course, from our main man, Jar Jar, and he says, "Excuse me, but the most safest place twould be the Gunga city. 'Tis where I grew up, 'tis a hidden city." And presumably that's where, Star Wars Holiday Special Part 3 takes place.
It could be like
what
an
about this?
anthology thing with multiple like families, like just popping in on families, since that's the whole thing about like Star Wars and Life Day. So you
You're
could
trying
have
to
the
make it make
Gungan
sense,
family.
Georgia. I think
Yeah.
you've got to just lean into the craziness of it.
But I just want
Actually,
I
sorry.
want to include. I want Lumpy to be in it, and I also want this
Yeah,
Gungan
fair.
thing. I think
What
we
about-
could
no,
put
hear me out.
both in.
Yeah, I don't understand why Jar Jar can't be spending Life Day with by bringing his family to Chewbacca as part of a Naboo embassy thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so what that means is there's a 45-minute scene that is entirely in Wookiee and Gungan. So it'd be
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Here we
Lisa
go.
don't know what you're talking about.
Squeeze me.
Oh, it's too real. I can't handle it.
Oh god. But see, having an interaction between some kind of small Gungan and Lumpy. Oh, like she can't be pregnant. Lumpy has to be there as a toddler.
Yeah.
I don't know what
actually,
animal
Georgia-
they would use. Maybe like a raccoon or something.
George, it's something we forgot to mention that we both wrote in our notes from the Lego special that I want to quickly touch on now as well. Is, the message of the Lego special is that Yoda teaches Rey that the reason she can't teach Finn well is because she hasn't formed enough of an attachment to him, and she needs to really form bonds with the people she wants to teach.
It's like the opposite of the whole rest of Star Wars.
Yeah, I've watched enough other Star Wars to know that is the exact opposite of what the Jedi are constantly fucking banging on about. So maybe there is hope for Rey's new Jedi Order, because
well, and literally like 2 weeks ago, a Mandalorian episode came out that just preached the exact opposite message. Essentially, well, I don't know, it's going there, it's going somewhere, but basically they had a Jedi being like, you can't form attachments, and then it's like a week later I watched this and was like, this is very confusing.
Is Disney trying to sanitize the Jedi Order too much?
Well, I think probably more likely that the people who wrote this Lego Christmas special don't actually know Star Wars.
That's fair.
I don't think they've seen Star Wars.
Yeah, Reuben, the sort of people who wrote this are like you and me before we started this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I could write this.
Or watch the Clone Wars, yeah, and they're just like, yeah, I've seen like most of the movies.
Don't be so hard on yourself. I'm sure you guys could do better than this.
I mean, as we just proved in that segment, I think we could make an in-theme Christmas special.
If like people listening to this now have more ideas for the prequel holiday special, please send them to us. Either like comment on Patreon, come on the Discord, email us, like however, please. I'd love to hear more ideas for skits and stuff in this special.
I like the idea of going planet to planet.
Yeah, if we get a script together, we can pitch this to Disney.
They
clearly don't say no.
I've got another one. I reckon you could have like a really brief scene on Mandalore where just like nobody celebrates Life Day and they just like get in a big fight, and then it just skips to the heartwarming stuff again. Yeah.
Oh, that's where the musical bar scene has to happen on Mandalore. Get B. Arthur back. And now, Georgia, I'm gonna pass the reins over to you for our last segment. Because there was a bunch of new Star Wars shit announced, and this is, for all intents and purposes, a Star Wars show. So tell us about the new Star Wars shows.
Well, it's funny because I mean, like I heard that they were going to announce some new stuff, and I was like, neat. Like, I love Star Wars. It's a lot. It makes me a little bit worried. It's like, is this maybe too much? I think it's maybe too much. But anyway, but they all sound quite good, and they're all like very different things, which is also, I think, important. Like they're not just doing like 1,000 of sort of the same show, like CW verse type thing. So I think the first one that's going to come out is Andor, which I think this is the first one, which is a TV series set around Cassian Andor, who was one of the characters from Rogue One.
That's who it was.
He's the guy who like is the main sort of guy along with Jyn Erso. Who's like, everything I do is for the rebellion, like that guy. And it's
Forrest Whitaker?
No, he's a Latino guy.
The main guy, the main male lead.
I fell asleep.
Yeah, you didn't like Rogue One, so you don't remember it. But
I slept through the second half, and I want to be clear, I wasn't tired when I went into that movie.
Let's see the guy.
It's got Woody Harrelson in it.
It's Diego Luna. It's apparently the actor. I don't know him from anything else.
I'm just googling Rogue One. Hold on.
But anyway, but it's apparently going to be like a sort of spy thriller. So it's presumably going to center around him and other, rebels who were more like sort of, like spies, like in sort of espionage, which I find cool because I feel like they've done already like a few. I like this idea of having, you have like this rebellion and it's like multifaceted, like there's all different kind of cells, and it was like a very disorganized thing that came together right at the end to kind of unite. But just like presumably any war, there's like, the very, there's kind of like warfare that's visible, but then there's also going to be a lot of espionage going on underneath, which they kind of imply in Rogue One. So I think that'll be really cool to have like a sort of spy thriller set in the Star Wars universe. That'll be really fun.
I remember thinking the same thing when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was first announced. Like it was like Marvel, but they did like spy stuff, and I was like, okay, like you kind of pick a niche or a genre in this universe and kind of explore that. And I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah, and I think in general that's kind of what they're doing here, which kind of sold me. Yeah, like initially I was thinking this is like too much. How's this going to work? But yeah, they're kind of very much expanding genre-wise, which I think will be really cool. So that one's going to be like a spy thriller. Then
So
of course
also,
there's
I've looked this guy up. I don't recognize him at all.
yeah. You should rewatch Rogue One. It's so good. It's a very different genre to the rest of Star Wars.
Is it as good as Solo though? Because
It's
just
just
kind
so
of
different from Solo.
Well, there's your problem.
Yeah. Anyway, it is a little bit boring, but I thought it was like a genuinely good movie. Anyway, so the next one is the one that everybody's been waiting for so hard, which is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, aka The Return of the Anakin, because as they've excitedly announced, Hayden Christensen will be returning as Darth Vader, which is so cool. So that one's going to be set 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So basically like pretty much smack bang in the middle of the like time between the prequel and the original trilogies.
Okay, I was going to ask how long there is between those.
Well, I think Luke is meant to be 19 in the first film, so 19 years because it ends obviously with him and Leia being born.
Rebels is way off.
Yeah, Rebels is set like 4-5, like it covers the sort of 4 to 5 years before the original trilogy. Yeah. So this is like 5 years before that, I guess.
I'm very excited for Hayden Christensen to come back as Vader. I think he got done dirty by the shitty writing of the prequels, and he actually did a great job. I think he deserves some time in the actual role that he was setting up.
I still really liked him. I never hated him in the role. I just think it was a shit script, but I always liked Hayden Christensen in the role.
I mean, he plays a kind of smarmy, annoying character very well.
Yeah. I think that was honestly the problem. Is it was written and he performed like a whiny incel, and people wanted Vader to be this like fucking cool kick-ass guy.
Yeah,
and so they blamed Hayden Christensen for coming across as annoying and whiny, not realizing like that's the whole point of what the prequels are trying to do. They're trying to say this guy started off being like a whiny nerd.
Yeah. It's like if you hated, I've forgotten his name now, but the guy who played Joffrey, or like the lady who played Umbridge in Harry Potter. It's like they nailed the role. It was just you're supposed to hate them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which you're supposed to kind of find Anakin annoying, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think people realize that they were meant to find him annoying.
Yeah. So I think that'll be really cool. It'd be interesting to see what they do with it. And I think it's going to be directed by Deborah Chow, who did some of like the Mandalorian episodes.
I mean, I worry with stuff in the middle like that because there's only so much you can do with those characters. Like this was the same problem Rebels ran into for me with Vader, is they included Vader for a season of Rebels and it was kind of boring because it was like, well, I know nothing's going to happen to Vader because he's like chalked up in the movie. So like, and, it's the same with Obi-Wan and Anakin in this. So
yeah, that's true. Like
that would be my concern for this. Like, how do you set up stakes that I can actually give a shit about when I know where both of these characters are going to end up?
I suppose it won't be maybe a big epic about like the stakes. It'll be seriously because it's like there's Obi-Wan cannot have just sat on Tatooine and done nothing for 20 years. Like he had to have been doing something.
Well, he did that one thing in Rebels that I won't spoil.
He did one thing, but he must have done more than one thing. So yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be. I don't know what genre that's going to be. It should be interesting. But yeah, already there's like a bunch of like Star Wars neckbeards getting all tied up. Like, but in A New Hope, Darth Vader says, "We meet again at last." So they can't meet in this series because otherwise, like, it won't make any sense, and I'll be really bothered by it. And it's like, yeah, but also it'd be really fucking cool to see them fight. Way prefer that.
I hope what they do with this, I know it's like a Kenobi show, but I honestly hope they bring in like an Ahsoka-like character. Like, hope, like, is he protecting some younglings or something? Because that would be stakes I can get behind. Like, introduce characters who can die or have bad things happen to them.
Yeah, that's true. Like, it'd be cool to have some original characters. Yeah. And the other thing that I don't know about really any of these is like how long they're planning on going, like whether
Yeah.
this is like, is Kenobi just going to be like one season or something? Or like they haven't, I don't think, really said that yet, or at least not that I've read. Which brings me to the
Yeah, it'll
next
probably
one.
depend on where they go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because like with the Kenobi one, you can't go on indefinitely because like you run into,
Yeah.
you run into the original trilogy, which was the same thing that Rebels had, but that I quite liked because it kind of had like a finish point, which
Yeah.
sometimes is
Clone
hard.
Wars
Like,
was the same.
yeah, exactly. I actually don't mind it when it's kind of building up to a particular point because it's sort of, yeah, and I don't mind it just being the thing of like going more in depth into how you got to a certain event or something. Which, yeah, so the next one is Ahsoka. So after her, is this like a Mandalorian spoiler? But she made the live action debut in The Mandalorian
She
recently.
debuted.
Yes. So now they're giving her own show, but they've specifically said that it's going to be limited. So I don't know whether that, I'm assuming that means that it's just going to be like a sort of mini series or something, or like just one season. Not really sure.
I think that's something cool Disney are doing with their new Disney Plus content is they're not committing to movies or TV shows or limited series. They're kind of just producing as much content as the writers think is good.
Yeah.
They seem to be drifting away from, it has to be 13 episodes or a 2-hour movie. They're sort of just saying, okay, like figure out how long it is and then we'll like break it into whatever segments make sense.
Yeah, like,
And
Hannah
that's
and I
cool.
were watching the sort of like little thingo, the little ad thing for Andor, and somebody in it was like, said something about there being 12 episodes, and I paused it and I'm like, I can't believe they're doing fucking 12 episodes for this and The Mandalorian only gets 8 per season. But then at the same time, like, because The Mandalorian season 2, some of the episodes have been really short, like they're only like half an hour, but like every second of it is really good, and you're like, oh, it's probably
Right.
better.
Yeah, I think we're doing away with the traditional boundaries of all this stuff, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, because even, and again, The Mandalorian, like some of the episodes are only like 30 minutes, and then some are like nearly an hour. Like they're just, the episode is as long as the episode needs to be to tell that story.
Yeah,
and it's a lot better. Because some of the ones that are only 30 minutes feel like long because they're so good. Like everything in it is really good. Like there's just no sort of unnecessary filler like the holiday specials. Yeah, so that one, I don't know. They've said it's going to be limited, so I'm just assuming that means that it's, maybe not going to be like super long. I'm not really sure. And that's going to be Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau again, who like the masterminds behind The Mandalorian. And they're also doing another one called Rangers of the New Republic, which is going to be one centered around like basically, I don't know how much of The Mandalorian you guys have seen, but like there's a couple of like New Republic pilots sort of floating around the Outer Rim trying to kind of maintain a little bit of order or something because they technically occupy it, but like there's like 2 of them from what I can tell. It's like Dave Filoni and one other guy like roaming around trying to patrol the Outer Rim. And so I think it's going to center around some of those people because basically the description of the Star Wars episode is website, sorry, is funny for that one. It says where is it? What does it say? It says, set within the timeline of The Mandalorian, this new live-action series from executive producers Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will intersect with future stories and culminate into a climactic story event. So I don't know.
That sounds like a limited series sort of deal.
Yeah, and I'm also not sure whether that means like if it's going to like cross over with The Mandalorian. So I'm sort of wondering if, because they're both Favreau and Filoni, whether like Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, and The Mandalorian are all going to kind of cross over or something like CW style. But then, like Hannah and I were talking about, like, it's hard to see how that would sort of work without making it a thing where people have to watch all of them. And so I don't know. So maybe not. Maybe they'll just sort of vaguely cross over and make little guest appearances or something. Or maybe they'll just be set in the same kind, like maybe events that are just discussed in one show will then be presented in another or something. I'm not sure. I just thought it was weird word choice. Wasn't clear on whether that meant that they were going to like all, because it says will intersect with future stories. So is that future stories in The Mandalorian? Because they talked about The Mandalorian? Yeah. I don't know. So
guess we'll see.
Yeah, that one sounds vaguely interesting. I mean, I love Favreau and Filoni are nailing it, so I probably would watch that. Then there's a Lando one, which,
I Sorry, I just need to interject. I don't understand the obsession with Lando as a
Right?
character.
Why?
Yeah, I
What
don't
is
either.
it?
I'm not sure. I mean, I love Danny Glover. I think it'd be cool to see him again. Or Donald Glover, what's his name?
Donald
Childish Gambino.
Glover.
Let's call him Childish
Yeah.
Gambino.
Yeah. Let's just call him Troy from Community.
Yeah. Anyway, he's really great. So I thought he was cool in that role. So hopefully they're bringing him back. I assume that they wouldn't probably do it without him.
If they actually round out the solo plot in Lando, I will finally watch one of these Disney Star Wars shows.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking. Like that would be cool, but I don't know because it's being directed by the guy whose name I can't remember, who has done like Dear White People, which I haven't seen, but I've heard is like very good. So I don't know whether it's going to be more like a sort of lighthearted, like is it going to be more like a sort of comedy, like yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about what that one's going to be like, I suppose. And yeah, I kind of had the same. I'm not like the biggest Lando fan. I think he's kind of a boring character, so I don't really know about that one.
Boring. I don't understand.
Yeah. Anyway, then this one is possibly the one I'm the most excited about. It's called The Acolyte. It's going to be set at the end of the High Republic era, which is like a few hundred years before like the prequels, which is supposed to be kind of like the golden age of the Republic. And that's when there was like the most Jedi, and the Jedi and the Republic had pretty much extended through like the whole galaxy into the Outer Rim and stuff. So it was kind of like the Outer Rim was kind of like sort of very Western, like there was like sort of Jedi like sheriff type things roaming around and all like outlaws and shit. But this one's going to center on exploring like the dark side of the Force, and going to be kind of like a shadowy. Oh, how did they describe it? They made it sound so fucking cool. Where is it? They've said a mystery thriller that will take the audience into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. I was like, that sounds so fucking cool.
Yeah, that's a cool pitch.
Yeah.
If this is like the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise, that'd be cool.
Yeah, well, I think that'd make him very, very old, but who knows?
Well, wasn't that his whole thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, true. That's his whole deal, isn't it?
Oh, that's true, yeah. And apparently it's being done by this person called Leslie Headland, who's an Emmy Award-nominated creator of the mind-bending series Russian Doll, which, again, I haven't seen, but I've heard it's very good. So that one I thought sounded really cool. Like, again, like a very, just like a totally different genre. And it's like, the whole time, like you keep thinking that we're centering on this kind of like 40-year period or something, but there's all this Star Wars lore that is so far out. And the High Republic era, there's lots of like extended universe and even like canon stuff in comics and stuff that just sounds so interesting and cool. And like, the Jedi Mandalorian Wars and all those kind of things. And you think, why aren't they ever extending into that? So I guess this would be the first thing that would be kind of extending out into that. And I think that sounds really cool. So that one I'm really excited for. Then there's The Bad Batch, which is an animated show centering around the Bad Batch, who were a group of clones introduced in the latest season of the Clone Wars, who are all like clones that have weird defects that essentially give them superpowers, which is such a cool idea.
Yeah, I thought the Bad Batch was like, as an idea in that Clone Wars episode. But I like the idea of basing a show around them, because like the thing that Clone Wars failed in my opinion, is that it wasn't focused around the clones enough.
Yeah.
So the idea about building a show specifically about clones, and then also specifically about the ones with the defects, makes me cautiously optimistic that they're actually going to explore like clone identity in a really cool way, which is something the Clone Wars only ever skimmed, and I would love to see more of.
Yeah, and the other thing that like as Hannah and I were watching the trailer, I was like, I wonder when they're going to set it, because I really hope they actually set it after Order 66, which is when it's going to be set. I was like, that'll be so cool, because like you said, the whole identity thing would be even more interesting, because it's
they're not soldiers anymore. Like, they were built for a war that's over. Like,
that's over, and they kind of sort of did a bad move right at the end there, right? Like they sort of killed all of their commanding officers. So yeah, I think that'll be like actually a really interesting one. Plus, like, you know, I have like a soft spot in my heart now for that animation style and stuff, which it'll be going back to. Yeah, so that'll be fun as well. And then Visions sounds again really interesting. So that's one that it's going to be just like an anthology of little Star Wars tales, which are going to be animated by famous like anime artists or something. Like it's going to be anime, which is really random.
Yes, this one's interesting to me.
Yeah.
They're doing an anime Star Wars. They're really... I don't know what to think of this. They're really just throwing out a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's going to be... I mean, that's not really going to be like a show. That's just going to be a random little collection of like little like story, little anthologies in interesting animation styles, which I guess is sort of the same. So the description for a droid story, which sounds initially fucking terrible, is basically the pitch they've given on the website again is that you know, that Star Wars, that Lucasfilm kind of has like lots of really good animation and visual effects. And so they wanted to combine the two of those. So Lucasfilm Animation is going to team up with the visual effects team and produce this thing called A Droid Story. So I'm really interested, like, kind of what that means. So it's going to be like, I guess, some kind of amalgamation of animation and visual effects. Like extreme animation or something. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah. So,
but what's it about?
Oh, so it's all it says is this epic journey will introduce us to a new hero, guided by the legendary duo R2D2 and C3PO.
Oh no, that's terrible.
And especially because it says a new hero, which means it doesn't center around Chopper, which is the true disappointment there, because I was sort of hoping it would just be about Chopper. He's the best fucking droid in the whole thing.
Yeah, just give Chopper his own.
It should be a Chopper
Why
series.
are they... Oh, God, I hate C-3PO so much.
I know, he's the worst. Like, R2-D2 is like pretty cool. I don't mind R2.
R2-D2 is fine.
The problem is that
R2 has his
C-3PO.
Fucking terrible.
He's so bad.
C-3PO has been funny exactly one time, and it was when his head got put on that other robot in episode 2. It's the only time his existence has been worth it.
Yeah. Anyway, so that one sounds, again, it's like sort of interesting. It's almost like some of this is just like weird experimental stuff, which I kind of don't mind. It's better than overcrowding it with like things that are like massive projects. And then there's 2 films. So the first one that they've been teasing is Rogue Squadron, which is going to be about like new recruit starfighter pilots. So Rogue Squadron is the squadron that Luke puts together during the original trilogy, named after the Rogue One team, like who all died to get that information.
I've played the video game on Nintendo 64.
Well, then you're an expert. Yeah, so I'm guessing it will be set like after the original trilogy, where this squadron is presumably kind of being like kept going as a New Republic squadron or something or other, and just centering around new recruits. But it's kind of cool. So it's been directed by Patty Jenkins, who I guess seems really cool and can now move away from the shitty Wonder Woman films. But yeah, there's like this cool thing that she released. So her dad was like a fighter pilot and died in service. So she has all these like memories of like, you know, her dad's squad like taking off in their fighter jets and shit. Like, and it's something that's like really important to her. And I was like, oh, that's really cool, actually. I'm really keen to see what she does with that then. Because, like, again, it sounds like something that will have, like, heart to it because of that. Like, it'll actually be meaningful to the director, which makes all the difference, I think. And then Taika Waititi is going to do a film at some point, but they haven't released any details of that.
I mean, that's the only sales.
That's all you need. Yeah, exactly.
They're basically just saying, he's pretty great. He's going to do a movie. And it's like, yes, that sounds, and it's going to be very different from anything else. So I guess to summarize, it sounds like there's a few like Andor and Lando and the Acolyte that are going to be kind of like things that sort of explore maybe slightly different genres. then the Bad Batch is kind of the continuation of the animated, and then there's like Ahsoka and Rangers of the New Republic, which will kind of be sort of linking in somewhat with The Mandalorian, which, by the way, is very good, and you guys should seriously watch it. It's the best Star Wars content they've ever made. It's so fucking good.
I'm tempted to just post my Facebook Messenger history with Georgia in
every Friday. It's maybe like
in Discord because it's
need
clockwork.
To watch Mando.
It's like 6 p.m. every Friday. I get a message from Georgia being like, "But seriously, you should start watching Mando."
It's so
and it's just like, you know, at this point, I couldn't possibly start Mandalorian because I know how much it means to you to message me each week and tell me to watch Mandalorian, and it would break your heart.
It's the season finale next week, so that'll be the last time. But then I'll probably just every Friday, I'll probably just keep messaging you until you watch it. Seriously, it's actually, so good.
Since we already talked, so Ahsoka appears in The Mandalorian, which I do think is very cool and does pique my interest. But is she searching for Ezra?
She's searching for someone else from Rebels.
Interesting.
It is interesting. So I have
no
a feeling
that
the Ahsoka show may be sort of like something to kind of finish off Rebels.
I hope so. Yeah, because I know Reuben hasn't seen Rebels, so I won't drone on about this for too long.
And there was a tweet recently. Have you seen you've seen iZombie, haven't you, Elliot?
I watched like most of it. I didn't finish.
Okay, yeah, I've never seen it, but there's a guy in that who's also was in The Haunting of Bly Manor recently. And he released a bunch of tweets sort of basically saying that he's going to play Ezra in some kind of live action thing, which I'm going to assume is the Ahsoka show. So he's going to turn up somewhere. Like, he could turn up in The Mandalorian, I don't know.
Like Rebels was very great and it had a great ending and left itself open for an epilogue. And if this is how we get it, then I'll fucking catch up on these other stupid shows.
Yeah.
To find out what happened to Ezra.
Because The Mandalorian, I know, Elliot, that you watched some of season 1. Season 1 was fun because I really loved season 1, but like the first 3 episodes are very, very good. They like set up the whole thing and there's lots of like action and you sort of start to fall in love with these characters. Then there's just like these 3 filler episodes, which are sort of fun. The prison one is really cool, but kind of it is a bit of a thing where you're kind of like, what? Like, where is this sort of going? This is like all just very random. And then the last 2 episodes are like very good again. And there's like really good action and they really set up like where the series is going to go. And then it launches into season 2 and it's just like there's so many jokes. It's just like Dave Filoni just crams every cool Clone Wars character in there. Like all these old favorites turn up, but they do it in such a good way where like if you hadn't seen Clone Wars, you'd still really enjoy it and it wouldn't matter. But the plot just goes bonkers. Like it's so good. It just goes where you would never expect and like it moves really, really quickly. Like there's no season 2 has like it starts off with a bit of filler and then it's just kind of like bang, 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 bang. It's very good. Very good action, super heartwarming. Like you just fall in love with it. He just goes around and makes best friends on every planet he goes to and you just fall in love with all these new characters. Like it's so good. I think you guys would both probably really enjoy it.
I promise one day I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And that
I will harass you until that day.
The other regular occurring segment of the show, Georgia recommends Mandalorian.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. Somebody said I was talking at work the other day about like one of the guys I was like subbing in for so he could go see his kids like 20-week scan. And when somebody else was like, oh, well, it's not like he needs to be there for the scan. It's not in his uterus. I was like, well, some people care about their kids. They're like, you say that as though you have a child. I was like, well, I watched The Mandalorian. Baby Yoda is very important to me. It's as close as I can get, but Baby Yoda is very, very important to anyone who watches The Mandalorian. So cute. I'd pay $1 million for that puppet.
That $1 million could buy you one holiday special.
If I had to pick between a holiday special and a Baby Yoda animatronic puppet, I'm pretty sure I know which one I would choose.
Oh, I think that's a hard choice, but fair
I'd
enough.
pick a meal at McDonald's over the holiday special. Yeah. Pay $1 million for a Big Mac. Better use of the money.
Anyway, so yes, lots of Star Wars stuff set to come out, but
that segment went way longer than I thought because there is a lot more than I expected.
So much.
I was like, oh, Georgia can tell us about the new shit. It'll take like 5 minutes. It'll be fine.
But you can
No,
see my
there's a
list there.
ton of
There's
it.
like
So much.
actually there's like 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 things.
Jeez.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
they
they sort
announced
of
a lot.
they do sound, I think, hopefully different enough that it's sort of, yeah, like a few of them, they're not really like big projects. So I'm hoping it doesn't like overcrowd it.
11 Star Wars things, and none of them are solo too. Like,
Yeah. At least they finally did the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing, because that's been like a running joke in the fandom for like 10 years that, like, you know, that thing that's like, men only want one thing and it's fucking disgusting. And it's just like Obi-Wan
That's a
Kenobi series.
classic meme.
That
Yeah.
meme has been there for like 10 years and now they're finally doing it.
Good times.
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's probably our episode for today. We ended up spending only about half of it on those god-awful holiday specials because they suck.
No, this is just slowly morphing into a monthly Star Wars variety show where we just discuss miscellaneous Star Wars things every month.
And
I'm
troll
okay
the
with that, I think.
Wikipedia and look up
Yeah,
weird
exactly.
shit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm excited because next month we'll be coming back to talk episode 3. We're jumping back into the prequels, and I'm excited for that because episode 3
This is the good one.
was
the only
was
good one.
always the one I said was my favorite Star Wars movie. You know, but now it's been like 15 years since I watched it, so I can't claim that as easily. But
And
guess
you're
we'll see
like
if that
borderline
still holds
obsessed with
up.
Solo, so I don't know if that.
Yeah, that's true. It was the best one until Solo. Good point.
But then once you watch The Mandalorian, that will be your new favorite. But anyway.
So yeah, we'll be back to talk about episode 3 next month. So make sure you stay a patron, I guess, if you want to catch that.
Yeah, and please again message us with your ideas for our up and coming, very real prequel holiday special, as well as like ideas for what we should do after episode 3. We're still figuring that out.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks for being patrons.
Cool.
I will see you next month.
See ya.
Bye.